So the first thing I think becomes really apparently clear when you first watch the show is that it once had a very small budget, relatively speaking, and there were smaller dragons, smaller battles, and smaller everything, you know? We take all the ice dragons and the resurrections and whatnot for granted. There's this great scene where Dany refuses to show her dragons outside Karth, probably because they were too expensive to animate. But now we see dragons all the time. We see the ice dragon, obviously, in the season 7 finale, and I'm sure we'll see the most expensive television battle ever filmed in season 8. Another thing that you really pick up when you watch Game of Thrones in a short period is that the clues to some of the show's biggest twists were there all along. In particular, the Red Wedding was hinted at for a long time. Book readers probably saw this going through the show for the first time. If you go back in seasons 2 and 3, you hear the song, The Rains of Castamere, a lot. It will get stuck in your head. You probably won't remember many of the words, but it'll be in your head. You also might notice that in a season 3 episode before the Red Wedding episode, Jaime tells Roose Bolton the Lannisters send their regards, which should send up lots of alarm bells. Similarly, before Jon was officially revealed to be the son of Rhaegar Targaryen and Lyanna Stark, we hear a lot of stories about how great Rhaegar was, when we had initially thought that he was a rapist and a kidnapper who started a war. And then in season 7, obviously, we learned that he and Lyanna ran away together and had Jon. Also, season 6 helpfully brings up the Mad King's stores of wildfire before Cersei uses them to blow up the Great Sept of Baelor and a couple hundred of her enemies in the process. One thing that most of you have probably been paying attention to and taking notes for are any and all hints about the White Walkers. Remember in season 7 when Jon and Tormund and Gendry and all of them go beyond the wall, we learn that if you kill a White Walker, all the whites it raised die. So if you kill the Night King, who made all of the White Walkers and essentially then they made all of the whites, everybody dies. You also notice the spiral patterns that the White Walkers and whites make show up quite a few times over the years, and one pattern made with horse heads in season 3 mimics a pattern of stones around the weirwood where the Children of the Forest made the first White Walker. The writers have left a lot of ends loose, and we only have 6 episodes in season 8 to see if they come through. I'm sitting here wondering what happened to Ed Mure after Arya killed all the Freys. He was supposed to be in their dungeon. Did she just leave him there? Is he dead of starvation now? He's her uncle, but like, sure, whatever. We never hear from Gendry after he runs back to the wall to send a raven to Daenerys. We just see him collapsing into Davos's arms. And where did Melisandre run off to? She's not done with these people. But, you know, as worried as we all are about the White Walkers and who's going to sit on the Iron Throne, it's also really apparent when you rewatch the show how many of the series' best moments were smaller and less about battles and politics and more intimate. You know, I think about Jaime opening up to Brienne in the bath at Harrenhal as one of the series' best scenes ever.
You think the Honorable Ned Stark wanted to hear my side?
The Watchers on the Wall is my favorite battle scene, and it wasn't about the White Walkers or the Iron Throne at all. It was just about survival. The play that Arya sees in Braavos is one of the funniest moments in the show. Some of the most emotional deaths have been of characters like Hodor and Ygritte. Then you think of some of the good moments, like Jon and Sansa's reunion, or Cersei getting drunk at the Blackwater.
More wine.
So hopefully there will be a few moments like that in season 8.